الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون ما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة كل بدعة وكل ضلالة في النار. Inshallah, tonight we will start with the Adab Shariah, and we start with the first one and the most important very much, and based on it adab either for you or against you, and that is what all the ulama start their books with, and what Imam Bukhari started his Sahih with, Imam Nawawi started his Sahih with, and that is the adab of Al-Ikhlaas, and that is one of the adab with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we say Al-Ikhlaas, we're talking about sincerity. Allah, as we all know what the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said in the hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ نِيَّاتٍ, that actions are judged by the intention. It's very important, and as we know that Al-Akhlaaq and Al-Adab are actions, so it's very important that we have the right intention and we understand what we mean when we talk about Al-Ikhlaas and how to be sincere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Since we hear it all the time, have sincerity and have Ikhlaas, but today inshallah or tonight we will try to go a little deeper and try to dissect it a little bit more to understand what Al-Ikhlaas means and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means when He says in the Quran word that is related to the idea, and in what aspects and in what fields. يقول الإمام سفيان الثوري رحمه الله: ما عالجت شيئا أشد علي من نيتي ما عالجت شيئا أشد علي من نيتي إنها تتقلب علي. سفيان الثوري الله, one of the ulama of the Sunnah, he said the hardest thing I ever had to deal with and I ever had to treat is my niyyah. That is the hardest thing that he ever had to deal with was his niyyah. And he's using the word du'alij, يعني to cure. And this niyyah can go sick, and this niyyah can go bad, and it can go against you. So it's very important that if there is something to cure, more important than curing your leg or your arm or your head, it's your intention. Because that is what will determine what your hand will do, and what your head will do, and what your leg would do. So he's saying nothing that is regarding me harder than my own intention. My own intention, because the intention is that connection, and that is that key for any actions to be either accepted or not. One of the teeth of this key, one of the teeth of the key is this intention, and it's very, very important. فَيَقُولْ إِنَّهَا تَتَقَلَّبُ عَلَيْهِ. And he gives you the reason why this intention is very difficult to treat. He says because it's always flipping. Its intention is always changing. So he always has to be aware. Okay? It's like someone when he has a disease and he always goes to check, like especially with patients who have cancers, they always have to have regular and periodic checkup with their physicians or the doctors and the x-rays and whatever to make sure that it's still, and this disease is controlled. Okay? So with the intention, if the cancer you had to go every 3 months or every 6 months or every 9 months or every year to check and to make sure that everything's still stable and cured, imagine the intention that is changing every second. This intention can change over seconds. So it's very important. That's why it's very difficult to take care of it and to always keep it in check. And inshallah we will learn some of how to do that tonight. وَالْإِخْلَاصُ فِي اللِّغَةِ مُشْتَقٌ مِنْ خَلَصٍ بِمَعْنَى صَفَى وَزَالَ عَنْهُ شَوَائِبُهُ. The meaning of the word Al-Ikhlaas, in the Arabic, it comes from the root khalasa, and khalasa meaning to be pure, okay, to be clean, to be polished, to be completely clear of anything and of any contamination. And that is in the language. So when it comes to the Sharia and Istilah and the meaning that Allah wants you to understand, the meaning that the Prophet ﷺ invites to, then we understand this idea is part of it. And that is for your actions to be pure from any partners, for your actions to be pure from any interest beside the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the ulama have many definition of al-Ikhlaas. I picked some for you just to share. قال هو إفراد ابن القيم رحمه الله قال إفراد الحق سبحانه بالقصد في الطاعة. He said, Ibn al-Qayyim, giving a small definition and a short definition and a brief one but comprehensive for the meaning of al-Ikhlaas. He said rahimahullah, is to have the pure intention and the pure goal behind your worship. That is to please Allah. So your main goal of any worship is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is how he defines Allah. And he also said, تصفية الفعل من ملاحظة المخلوقين. Also another definition he gives, Ibn al-Qayyim, Imam al-Qayyim, he says, purify your actions from the awareness of people. To purify your actions from the awareness of people. You do that action and you make sure that you hide it from people. You do the action. Sometimes, and most of the time, the actions we do, we cannot hide. Even then, you still try your best, figuratively, to hide it. And that is, in other words, to do the thing without having any mind or any idea of the interest of others. Without being interested in the interest of others. Alright? To do the action that is related to Allah without having any interest in the interest of others. Very important. That's another meaning. ويقول آخر, يعني another definition, هو استواء أعمال العبد في الظاهر والباطن. It's the action of the servants to be equal in the outside to the inside. Be equal when he's by himself and he's in front of people. So if he can manage to make everything equal, يعني his salah in front of people is the same his salah when he's in his room by himself, when his actions when he's away and amongst people who don't know him are equal and similar to the people when he's among people who know him, and that's of course the ta'ah we're talking about, then that is one of the meanings of al-Ikhlaas. So the inside equal to the outside. So what's in his heart is represented on the outside. He's not showing a man of double faces, as they say. On the outside he's something, and from the inside something else, because this is the opposite of al-Ikhlaas. So if we put all these together, we can come up with the definition: أن يقصد المسلم بأقواله وأفعاله وجه الله تعالى فيرجو الثواب ويخشى العقاب ويحذر الرياء والسمعة بين الناس. Okay, so the general definition of al-Ikhlaas, and pay attention to this definition, it's a comprehensive one, is to have for the Muslim to have the intention from behind his actions and his sayings, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, the meaning of al-Ikhlaas, first part of the meaning, is for the Muslim to have the intention to please Allah when he acts and he talks. So every time he acts and every time he talks, his intention first to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking the reward from Allah only, avoiding the riya, avoiding showing off, and avoiding reputation amongst people. So that is what will guarantee an action to be for the sake of Allah. And for you to be able to fulfill Ikhlaas, first you do it to please Allah. You say it to please Allah. Second, you seek the ajr from Allah. Because a lot of people do things to seek the ajr from other than Allah. Third, to avoid and to do it without in the back of your mind to get praised for it. Some people, when they do some good actions, if they don't get praised, they get angry. And the fourth, and that is the riya and the sum'ah. To avoid the riya, meaning showing off, so people can point to you, and the sum'ah. And the sum'ah is the reputation, can fall in the same thing. وهذا مصداق قوله تعالى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى. يعني he does everything good only for the pleasure of his Lord.